What's up, everybody? I'm Noah, and welcome to the inaugural edition of a series that we've been planning for a little while. That's right, based on what you can see right here, we are going to be kicking off our replay analysis series. This video was sent in by a user by the name of Traxxus, who in this case is playing Jaina on the blue team. Apparently Traxxus is right around 2200 MMR, so that's about mid-platinum, if I recall correctly. So he wanted me to take a look at this and just kind of generally comment on the gameplay. I have not watched this before. I really want to kind of make my judgments about the gameplay from the context of what the players have available in front of them. You know, I'm not going to watch it and then say, you know, in hindsight you should have done this. You know, let's just talk about this game kind of as it's going on in a reasonable way. So with that being said, I'm going to load up the old version of the client right now, and we'll give this a watch together. See you in a moment. Alright guys, we are loading in on Infernal Shrines. For the most part, we're going to be following Traxxus, since he's the guy that sent us this replay and allowed us to look at it. I want to throw out a thanks to him for being the first one to send in a replay and for allowing us to learn from it. Real quick, we're going to pause and we're going to take a look at these team comps. As you can see, the blue team features Jaina, Rhaegar, Thrall, Artanis, and Zebo versus the enemy teams Chen, Azmodan, Malfurion, Li Ming, and Jaina. So the first thing you want to do whenever you're playing the game is when you're on that loading screen where all the heroes are displayed, is kind of think of what the team comps mean and how you're going to play around the enemy's team comp, especially in quick match where the likelihood of certain heroes is changed dramatically from Hero League. So over on the blue side, we can see a pretty solid little comp. The Artanis Thrall front line is fairly effective. I think that Artanis is a little bit underrated as a tank if he's being played correctly. Of course, a lot of people don't play Artanis correctly, so it's entirely possible for it to go wrong. You also have Rhaegar, who's, I think especially during this recording, which I think was one patch ago, maybe two, Rhaegar was just at the top of his game. Enemy team, you can see that there's a lot of burst potential and a dramatic amount of siege potential in the form of that Chen-Azmodan combo. With Chen tanking shots and Azmodan just playing a macro game, they can siege down structures very, very effectively and efficiently. So it's going to be up to the blue team to counter that macro push and to kind of force these fights to go on a long time, because what blue team has is sustain, but they lack burst. On the other side, it's all macro and burst. So that being said, let's hit play again. Traxxus has gone to the top lane. Nazebo, being the specialist, should probably be soloing bot. Artanis probably needs to roam a little bit more, but I guess it's not really that big a deal. Artanis can solo lane without too much trouble. And let's see if Thrall wakes up. Someone's pinging Thrall already. Gates are open. Thrall's still AFK at the moment, and Traxxus is heading to top lane. You can see that in mid lane, it's actually Chen Malfurion rather than Chen Azmodan. So, it's a mirror match in top lane right now. Jaina versus Jaina. Nothing too much to worry about. The enemy Jaina, for some reason, tips her hand that she's in the vent right there. Not sure why. And you're making the smart move not bothering to respond to this, actually. Throwing out the Blizzard's a good call, but you see, you're kind of like... in a mirror match, I'm going to pause and talk about this for a second. Unless you're massively outskilling the enemy player, or vice versa, no one's going to pull off a kill. Especially with Jaina, a character who's dependent on this very discrete combo. Neither of you are probably going to kill each other, and if you do, it's really a coin flip as to which one's going to work. I would say that in a situation like this, it's best to just play passively and soak the minion waves. Stay roughly in this area, if you can see my cursor, which is pretty safe. The gank potential from this little alcove over here isn't that great. So anyway, let's move on. The enemy Jaina is sitting there. I see that when I say you, I'm referring to Traxxus, has taken a drink right there. And there you go, just kind of clearing the lanes. Play passively. So... not a whole lot going on here right now. The enemy Jaina is playing a lot more aggressively and poking out, but over time you'll have better wave clear and better mana efficiency in general if you just kind of refuse to play that game. Thrall has shown up and he has come top lane as well, but really where he needs to be is mid lane. I can just see by the mini-map that there's sort of a push going already. Yeah, you can see these two middle towers are almost out of ammo. So Jaina versus Jaina is a 1v1, but the problem is Nazebo is not going to be able to do anything against a Chen plus dedicated healer. He's just not going to get anything done with it. So Thrall really should rotate down to mid. Or another option is that Traxxus himself could actually head down there, being that Thrall's a very solid solo laner and could easily hold against that Jaina. But you are using Thrall being there to your advantage. You're pushing in just a little bit, which is probably the right move. It looks like Azmodan is cross-pushing in this top lane with his Generals of Hell. Waiting for the possible engagement here is solid, but I don't know if that Jaina is dumb enough to think that you've actually left the lane. Especially because everyone else is visible on the minimap. But you're sticking around here anyway because apparently a kill was pulled on the enemy Malfurion. I'm not exactly sure how that happened, but hey, apparently there was something silly was done. See, Traxxus is making the smart move here, waiting for someone else to come in and begin an engagement before he actually starts pushing into deal with this objective here. Now, pulling back is the right move here. Thrall's targeting the Chen, which is just not going to result in anything. So, Rhaegar is out front, that's good, but he's only at half mana. I don't know if he drank already, but he probably should have before coming in here. And yeah, let's just look at what happened there one more time when Traxxus got taken out. That was the first death of the game for him around the 3-minute mark. So, okay, so you get routed by this Chen a little bit, and you're still wanting to contribute. You're about 2/3 health and mana. That's not too bad. That's still a place you can be, and you can still fight. But I want to see exactly what happens here. Here's where paying attention to the mini-map is really important. Because even if you hadn't been hit by those roots and bursted down, that Chen was right down here who could have easily come up and body blocked you with all his CC. So, while Traxxus is coming back up, it seems that they pull a kill on the enemy Malfurion. Unfortunately, the enemy Leeming and Jaina are able to get away by the skin of their teeth. But without Chen or Malfurion, there's very little they can do except kind of cope here. Traxxus is coming back here to assist. At this point, the friendly team's so far ahead, I would suggest that you should probably just head to the lane. Just soak some experience, get more of an advantage that way. And it looks like you have the same conclusion. There are so many skulls, it's best to just go in there and soak. So, Frozen Punisher has been secured for the blue team. It's going to push in. This early in the game, at 3 minutes, I'd say having Thrall and Jaina assist with this push is solid, while the rest of the team goes down and soaks the other lanes. The problem is that meanwhile, this Azmodan is being left alone. Not only is he soaking experience, but he's getting free pushes onto those towers. It looks like Rhaegar is going down to respond for that also. Arcanus doesn't really know what he's doing. He doesn't know where to go, but he can probably see on the mini-map that Chen is still kind of pushing in and soaking tower shots over there. But it looks like he's going to go down and respond to that right now. Okay, now that things have steadied, would be probably a worthwhile time for members of the friendly team, mostly mid and bot, to come in and try and pick these siege camps. Oh, you see, this is a problem right here. You know, every time I take the map away just for a second, it ends up missing the parts that I want to talk about. So, going back to that next death for Traxxus. Okay, Seek. Okay, so you've got the Thrall with you, who should be covering for you relatively well. He's not at complete health, but he's pretty good. The Leeming. Is the Leeming involved in this? No, I think it's just Jaina and Malfurion. Yeah. That's really just some wrong place, wrong time shit right there. So, by this time, you should probably know that Jaina just loves sitting in these grates. And no clue what Thrall was doing there. I don't know why he stayed in so long. Frostwolf Resilience isn't going to carry him that well. But anyway, as I was saying, Traxxus should probably know by now, as he's getting ready to res right now, that Jaina is going to sit in these top grates here and try to pull that combo off on him whenever possible, which would be fine if it was just a mirror match, but the fact is there's someone else available. And for her, That's a support. For you, it's another damage dealer. So your best case scenario is you get a 1-for-1 trade. Worst case, you're going to die, and the Jaina's going to slip away with a little bit of health just because of regrowth from Malfurion. So you guys are kind of holding still top lane. I would recommend at this point you rotate down to mid or bottom. You can see you can pretty much see most of the enemy team is down that way. At least 3 are going to be on the mini-map for you right now. 4 because the Malfurion's down there right now. So really, Thrall can handle that lane himself. You need to head down. But either way, second objective of the game is popping. And, okay, already people can tell that they're late to the party. It looks like Artanis might know Nazeebo's going to die. Artanis is not able to secure the kill on that Jaina, and he's going to fall next. So at this point, you're making the wise decision, just leave. Don't try and stay in to get that kill on that Jaina. I know it looks appetizing, but it's not going to happen. Pull back, soak the lanes. They're burning it down slowly enough that you can maybe wait for Nazeebo to be back and kind of engage with some poke. Wait 5. Yeah, no, that's the right recommendation. I would say that it's about 30 minions where it's no longer viable to try and steal. So you're like right on the borderline there. But as far as you know, the enemy team's still low. You do manage to get a pick on that Asmodean, and while you're not going to be able to do anything about the Punisher, it is possible to get another pick there. Artanis is whipping his prison, and that might result in his death. Especially if Malfurion manages to get those roots off. But yeah, it looks like he's going to fall. So you're doing the right thing. Rhaegar should be out in front because he's going to be able to tank the most damage from that Punisher. What you want to do, as you probably already know, is proc the Punisher's jump, so he's getting attacked by the forts, as well as the back tower. Enemy team is doing the right thing and just pushing in with this Punisher, especially because they have Chen to soak any tower shots that the Punisher is not, and they're definitely going to take this bottom fort. You are doing the right thing, trying to get the pick on this Malfurion, and will it be successful? Yes, it will. Both teams have level 10 right now, managed to get a pick on the Li Ming as well. I'm really surprised. I guess the enemy team just did not disengage in time, but will they manage to pick the Chen? Nope, the Chen is moving too quickly, but oh, the Purifier Beam will secure the kill on him. Traxxus is doing the right thing, holding back, clearing those minions, making sure that he doesn't lose that experience. And the counter push idea is viable while you had 2 of them down, but frankly, in a quick match scenario like this, I don't know how worth it is. Good call doing these siege minions. You want to create a little bit of distance between you and the enemy team, but I would say an even better idea right there is if he was on the minimap, and unfortunately I don't know if I can control Fog of War settings here, was picking that Asmodean. The Asmodean has already proven that he will, given the opportunity, overextend because he gets too confident in his ability to push. So being able to pick him will really cut down on the amount of siege damage the enemy team is able to do. Good pick there, but the problem is that flank from the Li Ming. You're always going to have to watch out for that. She is probably the most problematic member of the enemy team. A good Sunder from Thrall manages to take out the enemy Malfurion. That's solid, followed by taking out the Chen. The enemy team at this point is just playing kind of sloppy. They should be pulling back. Let's talk about comps again. This team, the blue team, is able to fight as a 4-man. They have enough consistency across the board that if you lose one, there's still something to be said for maintaining an engagement. The enemy team really can't. They can probably lose the Asmodean, but if they lose anyone else, the whole team comp's going to crumble. Chen is really necessary to be in there, kicking at people and barreling people away to protect the squishies, and Malfurion is necessary just to provide whatever healing he can, although he's definitely not the ideal healer for this comp. When you get one of these guys who's not Asmodean down, that is your time to rush in, because if they lose Li Ming or Jaina, they don't have enough damage. If they lose Chen, they don't have a front line. If they lose Malfurion, they have no ability to heal up, and these are such fragile characters that that's crucial in a matchup like this. So, continuing, it looks like the blue team is thinking of continuing this push into the bottom fort. I would say, yeah, going for it wouldn't be a bad idea. I understand it's scary to try and walk directly into a Li Ming and a Jaina, but as you can see, the Jaina's out of mana. Jaina's not going to be able to do anything. And A kill could easily be pulled here. Oh, unfortunately, just missed there. I would definitely say staying in and taking this fort is the right move. That'll give his bot lane a little bit of space, and then immediately, do not pass go, do not collect $200, head up to that top lane to prepare for that objective. You can see that's what the Chen is doing right now, and he's going to attempt to secure as many minions as he can before you guys rally. He knows that his team is not in an ideal situation right now, but I will also say that hearthing before you do it is the right call. Artanis can go. He'll be fine since he should know that Chen is the only person up there. That's okay. And Artanis' ability to clear those waves is going to be pretty solid as long as he times it out correctly. But unfortunately, the Li Ming has pulled up there as well. However, there is a good opportunity to get a gank on these two while everyone else is out of position. The enemy team really needs the death ball to be effective. Your positioning here is really aggressive, but you got away with it. I would say that getting that poke on the Li Ming is pretty crucial, because Li Mings get scared, usually, when they're at low health. For good reason, they have an incredibly low health pool. So, the target here should be the Li Ming, definitely. The Tranquility is a percentage heal, I believe, and given how low her health pool is, it's not going to do a whole lot. So Li Ming's down, Jaina is down, Nezebo falls, but the enemy Malfurion and the Chen are taken out. That was a good engagement overall. Now, at this point, what I would do is I would leave Thrall or Artanis up here, then split off to pick up these bruisers, or if you want to get ambitious, and actually you can since so much of the enemy team is down, go to the enemy bruisers. Go for the aggressive bruisers over there. You know that you have a top lane Punisher, which in this case is Arcane, which is always good. Securing these bruisers is just going to make your push that much stronger. Obviously, it's not going to be quite as strong just because the enemy team has a lot of AoE, but it's still something to keep in mind. There's no reason not to get it when you have that kind of manpower advantage. So, Malfurion overextends, gets clinched easily, and this is just the time to shine. You can take him out. There is no tranquility, there's no passive healing coming out, there's just nothing. You can easily body this team. That Asmodean's doing a decent amount of damage with those dunks, but as long as Rhaegar is diligent on just tapping his Q every time it's on cooldown, everyone should be fine. It's looking like, ooh, wow, Thrall gets bodied by a laser from Asmodean. I'm guessing he wasn't paying attention. Your positioning here is solid. Working down this tower to force the Punisher onto the fort is a good move. And I would argue, oh, great juke on the part of the friendly Artanis there. I don't know if it was deliberate, but I was going to say maybe you could consider going for that keep, but keeping in mind that Thrall is down, disengaging there is probably the right move. Nezebo is back to pushing off mid lane. I don't know why he wasn't involved in that push. That doesn't really make any sense there. I would say that see, this is a risky move. You're not sure how close the enemy team is behind you, so you might get this pick, or it might be a white for you. And of course, going for the Chen was just kind of so. I mean, the Malfurion was right there. Artanis is in a risky spot. Everyone's in a risky spot. Like, one shot from that Jaina can take everyone out. And as you can see, you traded Jainas right there. Pull the kill on the Li Ming. Yes, good Sunder on the part of Thrall. It was dumb of them, but it was also kind of dumb of you. Just because this is the problem. Like, you'll get in a chase situation like that, and you might see the Chen and the Malfurion there, but you have no idea where that Li Ming and that Jaina are. Unless your timing is just perfect in terms of knowing exactly when they're going to be able to arrive, it's probably not something you want to risk unless you're more safely on your side of the map. Right there, that can be a really dangerous place, just because there's so many nooks and crannies for the enemy team to hide. So this is a little bit risky, but overall it's a solid move. They know that the Li Ming and the Jaina aren't going to be up anytime soon, but ooh, look at Thrall getting in here, getting real aggressive. The problem is, now they're kind of surrounded. If that Li Ming came in fast enough, that would be a dead Thrall pretty much instantly. Okay, good pick on the enemy Malfurion. You guys were pretty lucky in just how much he was overextending all the time. But Thrall's going to stay in here, he's going to try and take out that Shen, and that's just not something that's going to happen without the entire team dumping their best on it. Okay, got a good kill on the Asmodean. That Shen's not going to die. You're going mid to deal with the objective. That's the right move there. Let's see. So Li Ming's going to get away. Jaina's going to get away. What is Artanis doing right here? He's just trying to sign his own death one. That's way too risky. This just looks like overconfidence here. So Jaina dies. Now what was that a result of? Did she come mid? Let me take a look at that again. Okay, this is still that initial team fight while you're coming up and moving to the objective. So I wasn't able to identify Jaina there. No, she was over there the whole time, so I'm guessing she died somehow in that team fight. I guess I just didn't spot it. So you and Rhaegar are over here. Makes sense. I don't see a great reason to go in there and push. They're about to secure 16, so they're going to be on the same talent level, and that's not a fight that you want to take. So the Jaina gets down over there, which, now, you see, Artanis is staying in too long, and the Zevo's about to get punished as well. And that's the problem. You just get kind of overconfident in situations like that. Li Ming using the disintegration beam to save the Chen from a zombie wall, like he can't protect himself. But you guys are doing exactly the right thing there. I don't know if you perceive that that was a dangerous call, staying around there that long, and while the friendly team managed to get a bunch of kills, ultimately they just ended up dying for it. They barely put any damage onto the fort because they were just trying to get picks the whole time. And picks feel good, yeah, but they don't, secure wins. So, good move. Just push in with the Punisher. You have a level advantage. You don't have a manpower advantage, but as long as you stay safe, you should be fine. There's a possibility of a pick on this Malfurion, but not if you cast Tranquility. That's still too risky. You pulling back here is the right move. It looks like, there's Rhaegar just getting blown up. And there you can see the danger of their team comp. It's just the amount of burst they can put off, as well as the roots from Malfurion. Fortunately, the Asmodee and the Chen haven't gotten the idea to just, mercilessly push different lanes, so you've still been relatively safe from a macro game. But I would say that in another situation, maybe a slightly higher MMR, that's definitely something they would be doing, so just keep that in mind. So 15.5 minutes into the game. 3 forts down for the red team, 1 fort down for the blue team. Everything's pretty solid. But I would say this is not, ideal timing for this Bruiser camp. I would really, just kind of mill around a little bit and kind of push back lanes until that Infernal Shrine's timer actually pops. When it pops, that's the perfect time to go for this Bruiser camp, because then it's going to be pushing alongside the fight for the objective, so it's going to passively push a lane. No clue why Nazeebo's staying in there that close. Again, another kill on the enemy Malfurion. I'm guessing he's not very good with that character because the guy is just overextending mercilessly. So Artanis, again, you gotta think of the Chen as a distraction. Think of Chen like Murky. His biggest ability to demolish you guys is when people are paying too much attention to him. And there's no way a Purifier Beam is going to take him out unless you have a Shrink Ray on him or something. So everyone's kind of stacking up mid lane. No one knows what to do. At that point, what you should be doing is this siege camp or this bot siege camp. But fortunately, Shrines have picked up. With it being right there, there's no reason not to get this siege camp on the left side. Not only is it on the safe side of the map, it's really close to the objective. And it just doesn't cost anything. I mean, it's a free push if they don't do anything about it. Anything you can do to create space on this map is really good, being how large the map is. I would say that's a really dangerous place for you to be. You, I would say, should probably be in the back vent here. Let your front line be the front line. Otherwise, you're putting yourself in really risky situations. Good ice block there, solid ancestral. The bolt was probably unnecessary, but I can understand why you did it. And Artanis, of course, is just way too deep and it's going to get blown up. But yeah, as far as positioning goes, that was kind of risky on your part, but fortunately they led in with just the Chen and the Asmodee, which wasn't going to do a whole lot. Pretty good Sunder on the part of Thrall there, but the problem is securing those kills. Malfurion's Tranquility is up. He's still going to get blown up, so they're not going to get full effectiveness out of this. But bear in mind that that Li Ming is still around. You know the Li Ming's not dead, and that Li Ming, like, she lets out a combo on you, especially as Jaina, you're just completely done. Yeah, right now you should be leaving. You should definitely be leaving. Because, yeah. There you definitely should have skirted along this wall and hugged that. You probably know that yourself, just because The reality is, after you took that much damage and you know the Jaina and the Leeming are both up, you should just leave. There's nothing good that's going to happen. Thrall manages to pull a kill on the Leeming. Enemy team is almost at 20, but it doesn't really matter because you're about to skewer this Punisher. So overall, not the best engagement, but it still worked pretty decently. Oh, and apparently the mid-fort for Red was never taken down. I was unaware. So waiting for Jaina and Artanis to be back up. 3 down on the enemy team. I would say this is a time where you should probably push aggressively, but at the same time on this map, with how weak the objective is at actual sieging, I don't know how effective it is. Like, a conservative push is good. Thrall shouldn't be that far out front. There's no reason for him to be tanking all those shots. So Artanis is back up. You're going to be down for another 10 seconds. People are pushing in. So I would say just staying safe here. And that's the reason why you want to stay safe. If the Chen was a little bit better with that barrel, that could have been really devastating. You could have picked the Thrall, picked the Ziva possibly, but instead it just turns into yet another kill on the enemy Malfurion. You're back up, you're heading in, you realize that this is a moment where you should be. Now that they've picked that Malfurion, now's probably a valid time to go here. With the support down at this late in the game, these picks are very possible right here. Again, not sure why it's always the Chen people are going for. So now you're in a debatable situation. The Malfurion's down, yeah, but the enemy team, the enemy team has the ability to heal up right there, and I'm gonna say the pulling back there is probably the right decision. It would be different if you had a minion wave pushing in, but based on the fact that the minion wave was pushed out, it was probably the right move to just leave at that time. So from there, you should swing up, pick that bruiser camp. Looks like you had the same idea. That's the right move. Keep pressure moving across all the lanes. Thrall's doing a good job providing a little distraction here while you guys secure this camp. But the options here, there's a couple different options. You could try to kind of backdoor them, but they're going to respond to those bruisers anyway. Thrall is way too far forward. He's probably going to get punished for this. No, actually, a Sundering manages to save him. Still terrible positioning on his part, very risky. But now the Chen is putting himself into a bad situation. He's used Barrel, so he has no excess mobility, no ability to really make use of being able to displace you guys. So he's just kind of abandoning the team. Great Blizzard there takes out the Jaina and the Leeming. The Malfurion's still dead, and now is the time where you should go in, obviously. Traxxus actually sent this game to me talking about how it was one of the a good example of like refusing to win the game when it's right there, but I'm actually going to disagree with him and say that that would have been a risky play right there. You were definitely risking a life on that initial push. Again, I would say if you had a minion wave there that was soaking the tower shots, yeah, absolutely. But otherwise, yeah. It was definitely not a situation you wanted to be in. Only having one member, 5v4 on core. Rhaegar goes top. What is going on here? Oh, no, this is the one who we're talking about. Rhaegar is going top to the shrine. There's absolutely no reason. There's 3 members of the enemy team now. Anyone with any sense. You wouldn't be at 2200 MMR if you didn't know this, but then again, apparently the enemy Rhaegar was friendly Rhaegar, right? So obviously this is just the time to go in, get the kill on the floor. There's no problem there. No one's going to be able to do anything, and that is going to be a win. Alrighty. No clue why that Rhaegar broke off in the end there. That's, ironically, it's very similar to something that happened in the last quick match game I just posted. So I can't recall, after seeing replays, do I get to see the stat screen afterward? No, it's looking like I don't. But, can I pull it up with tab? No, unfortunately, oh, yes I can. If you want to cooperate. There we are. So let's look at the end numbers. So, your damage was surprisingly low over the course of that. Granted, your inability to sustain yourself compared to someone like Artanis or Thrall means that you need to play more carefully. You died the most on the friendly team, but I'm going to say that's not really That's not really a bad thing. You probably should be the person who's dying the most, honestly. Jaina, compared to everyone else, I mean, Nazeebo can put out damage so safely. Rhaegar's a support. Artanis and Thrall have their relative self-sustain and tankiness. I would say you made some positional errors and just some kind of minor errors of judgment in the beginning of that game when you were mirroring against that Jaina. As I was saying before, if you're in a mirror match, just let it ride. Just concentrate on soaking your lane. And once that Thrall came up, and since he decided he was not going to rotate down to mid, you probably could have gone down mid to assist Nazeebo defending against that Malfurion Chen push. But overall, the enemy team got really sloppy as that game went on. The weak points on their team were obviously their Malfurion, who was overextended an incredible amount of the time. Their Chen, and probably their Chen. Their Chen wasn't doing super badly, but he wasn't doing what he needed to do when you're playing Chen, which is just to specialize in displacing the enemy team and making them available for that giant wombo combo of Li Ming and Jaina to secure those kills. Overall, though, I would say the Traxxus' play here was solid. I am definitely not a very refined Jaina player. I'm not great with mage characters in general, so the only advice I can really offer is to kind of the same thing I say to everyone. Watch your positioning and watch the minimap. I always recommend that people watch the minimap more because there's a lot you can get done on a macro scale in this game that people tend to ignore. As far as your role in team fights, though, you were doing good. Even if you were taking those deaths, you were usually taking 3 people with you, so that was all solid. But I would say the biggest piece of advice is to just relax a little bit on that early game laning phase and to just make sure the positioning, like be a little bit more conscious about your positioning in terms of having the front line up front. I understand that can be difficult in a quick match situation when you're with puppies, but still, if they're not going to be up front, then just get behind them, you know what I mean? Like, there's no reason to play extremely risky, especially against a comp like this, which is all burst and very little sustain. So anyway, Traxxus, thank you once again for sending in this replay for us to watch. I hope you guys all like this. If you want to see some more replay analysis, well, first of all, send in your replays. I do need more. This is going to be a fairly irregular series. It's going to be based kind of around when you guys send me stuff to analyze. But if you just want to see more content like this, feel free to like Traxxus if you want to comment and kind of respond to me. We can have a dialogue down below this video. And overall, good game, good to watch. And until next time, guys, I'll see you in the Nexus. Have a good one.